Hello, good evening, and welcome to another program of Diplomatic Faces. As you might know, Sri Lanka and Palestine had its diplomatic relationships since 1975. It's around about the time Sri Lanka recognized PLO as Palestine's official representative for Sri Lanka. Now, my diplomatic face today is none other than the Palestine ambassador to Sri Lanka, Dr. H.E.Zuhair Mohammad Zaid. Dr. Zaid, thank you very much for taking time off and joining us today. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah, everything is good, and thank you for your interview. I really appreciate this.
Dr. Zubair, how did you come into the foreign service? Because you told me that you are here in Sri Lanka for about 5 years, but how was this start?
I was in the Department for Negotiation. From there, I came to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It was before the Ministry for Cooperation and Investment. And after that, because we are in the beginning of our establishment of our ministries. And when they changed, it became the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I started from that.
Right. Now, in your experience, when you look at the history of Sri Lanka and Palestine relationship, and your ambassadorial period here, how do you perceive the relationship between our two countries?
We have really a very good relation with Sri Lanka. Let me tell you something, that the Palestinian issue is one of the issues that united the Sri Lankan communities, parties, and politicians. When it reached the issue of Palestine, you will find the Sri Lankan united. Our support coming across all the parties and all the communities. I'm proud to be real here in Sri Lanka. I'm proud to serve my country through the relation with the government of Sri Lanka, the people of Sri Lanka. There is, in my point of view, there is a very good progress. There is a very good positions that Sri Lanka taking all the time, supporting us as a Palestinian, especially in the international arena.
Right. Now, 2007, if you go backtrack to 2007, Hamas took over Gaza around that time. And the Palestine was divided into two administrative districts, West Bank and Hamas. Now, they are governed by separate agreements or whatever they have between that. How difficult is this intra-Palestine reconciliations between these two places?
Let me tell you something about the Palestinian situation. The Palestinians is about 13 million people. It's divided between outside as refugees in the world, the majority in Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, and in Gaza Strip, in the West Bank, there is refugees also. Inside Israel itself, there is Palestinians that they are refugees. They remove them by military order for 2 weeks, and still till now in another villages. And the Palestinians inside Israel, which are 1.5 million, 20% of the Israel population. Now, as a result of this situation, it's difficult for the Palestinians to control, in general, their aims. We have PLO, Palestine Liberation Organization, which is the umbrella for all the Palestinian organization. This umbrella is a political homeland for us as a Palestinians. Those two organizations that we have, Jihad and Hamas, both of them are Islamic organizations. They are still out of PLO. the sole representative for the Palestinian people. There is two elements that are playing in our internal political arena. Two elements, two factors. The external intervention, which is not just from the region states, but also from other states, Arabs or whatever. And there is the rule that the occupation, Israel as a state of occupation, doing and intervening in our internal issue, causing to such a division. If the peace process went well, if we achieve progress, how the extremists will become stronger. But as a result of the Israelis' rule, violation all the agreements, doing things that all the international community, all the international organizations are condemning, saying that this is not just aggression, violation. Some international organization is speaking about crimes, war crimes, about apartheid, about aggression that reach levels that the world did not saw before. So this is the result of those two elements. Now, in this situation, to have this sort of division, in this situation, as the Palestinians, we know, all of us, Hamas part of our political arena, Hamas part of our people, Jihad part of our people. If this depends upon us as a Palestinians, like here in Sri Lanka, leave us alone. We will tackle our internal issue. We can be united. Here in Sri Lanka, the same. You have a very, not just a beautiful, amazing country with this variety that you have different communities, different culture. It's really very beautiful to have it. But we witness a very rude and difficult situation, intervention from outside, trying to impose some positions or whatever. But I am sure that the Sri Lankan people can tackle their issue alone, and they can find the way to live together and to have their country with more prosperity, with more progress, with more development, and they can do this.
Yeah. Now you mentioned about the $1 million or some aid that was given by Sri Lanka, and when you were telling that, you told me about the needs in Palestine, like water, whatever needs. Yeah. So are there like a lot of dire needs for very basic things in Palestine still?
If you look to especially Gaza, it's really difficult.
What are the needs there?
If you want to follow up what the Israeli human rights organization saying, what the international organization reports saying and giving information, it's a place that's difficult to live nowadays. It's impossible for people to live. If we are speaking about the basic things,
infrastructure, yeah.
Not just infrastructure, no water. No water. The water there is not suitable for human beings. Medicine, they don't have. There is a very harsh siege that imposed by the Israelis. They count how many calories every person can take, what sort of food they can take. If this happened in any place in the world, This is just happened for in Gaza, and the Israelis imposing this.
So how many people are living there? How many Palestinians?
In Gaza, there is approximately 2 million Palestinians. 75 of them are refugees.
Okay, so for these people, these basic needs, water, sanitation, and all those things, they have to be brought through that Israel. Is there no other way that they can be given? There's no route?
We should know something. If you go to the borders, it's very clear.
Yeah.
There is a border with Egypt that sometimes some trying to put a responsibility in Gaza. Gaza Strip, which is 45 kilometer length with width in the widest place, 15 kilometer, is the most crowded place in the world. The most crowded place in the world. It's fully under the Israeli occupation. Despite the border, they are saying that we left Gaza. They lived inside Gaza, it's okay, but they still making the siege around Gaza. And they want to push the responsibility on Egypt. Egypt has its own problems, and it's also the Palestinian issue is one of their main issues, like all Arab countries. It's the major issue for the Arab world in general. They will not accept to take the responsibility for those people. Those people whom in Gaza, it's part of the Palestinian state, and it should be like this.
What is actually the issue between Israel and Palestine? Oh. And you might need 1 hour to answer that.
It's obvious, I think. The start of the Zionist movement is something that denying the existence of the Palestinians. Right. Denying the existence of the Palestinians. If this movement did not start their occupation from 1948 and before with those criminal ideas to remove the Palestinians, and they did from that time still until now, adopting ethnic cleansing. If we are speaking about ethnic cleansing, it reached level more. It's sort of genocide that practiced nowadays also our people in Gaza. It's apartheid that also implementing in their policies in the West Bank. They put the Palestinians in cantons, closed, villages, cities, the same. There is some special laws just for the settlers, confiscating the land, not allowing people to have treatment, to move from place to another place. This is the situation. They came to take our land, and they claim that Palestine as a historical land for the Palestinians is their own land, and they are denying our right to be on Palestine. Despite that, we accept to compromise and to have our state in 22% from the historical Palestine. And still, they want to take the land from this 22%. I have here one picture I can show you. This is the West Bank, this is Gaza Strip. Yeah. This is the West Bank, this is Gaza Strip. The start, Palestine was, this is historical Palestine. This is the division that did by the United Nations between Israel and the Palestinians. They gave them 50%, 52%. They gave us like 48%. After that, we accept to have our state in Gaza and the West Bank. Nowadays, they are also confiscating land and making this situation reaching this sort of state.
Okay.
Which state? What state will be in this situation?
You have put a nice question there. Does this look like a state?
Yes.
My next question is that, like, it's almost the same. Let's imagine that the Palestine state has been established. How would its administration process look like?
You can also depend upon the reports of the international reports. You can find the answer for such a question for what the Palestinians achieve as a state that it's existing, it's on the map in the international arena. Not on the ground in Palestine, but the International Bank, all the United Nations institutions recognize the ability and appreciate the ability that we have as a Palestinian. Now we are leading the G77. 134 states in this group. We are the Palestinians. Palestine are the leading for this group. This is show the responsibility. Palestine and the Palestinians, they not just believe, they are practicing democracy. We have elections, very free election. All the world witness the election that we did before. As a Palestinians, also from the beginning, inside BLO, we have a very amazing democracy, which is the first guns democracy as a Palestinian organizations. So our state will be sure a democratic state. Our state will be committed to the international community demands and responsibilities, and we already practicing this. We are part of a lot of conventions and a lot of international organizations. Still, they are trying to prevent us.
Now, Donald Trump moved the U.S. embassy from where it was,
Tel Aviv
to
Jerusalem.
in 2000 in December 6th, and this movement was criticized by a lot of regional people, and even in the UN General Assembly, a lot of countries did not support it. What are your comments on that, and why did he actually move this? What was the intention of moving from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem?
As you said, the international community, all the states, they are against such a step. They are against not because they choose to be against. No, there is basic issues that related to international law, that related to the United Nations and the Security Council decisions. Jerusalem, the whole of Jerusalem, not the west, not the east part. Despite that, we are claiming and wanting to have our state with East Jerusalem as its capital, which include all the old city, including the holy places for the three religions. Trump, he violate the American administration commitment toward the peace process. What he did, it's sort of a step toward escalation instead of having peace. He lost the role that the Americans had played along all the past era. We will never accept the Americans to be the responsible for any future peace process or peace agreements. They can be among international forum, international conference, but to be the responsible as they did, because they show that they are in the side of the occupation, supporting them in every thing. Trump can say whatever he can, but he will never achieve this. The Palestinian people will not accept such a position. We will continue our struggle, and like all the people in the world, freedom we will achieve. In our state we will achieve. Our rights we will achieve. No one can stop us.
There are several religions living in Palestine, right?
Yes.
Yes. Now there are I don't know if there are reports, correct reports or wrong reports, but there is talk that Christians are discriminated. Is this true or it is not?
Yes, Christians are discriminated, but from whom? This is the question. It should be very clear.
Yes.
Christians are Palestinians. Right. Jesus is a Palestinian also. The discrimination, the apartheid, the violations, the aggression coming from the Israeli side.
If I were to ask you, what are the three most difficult, critical things that the Palestinian government is facing now with regard to everything, international relations, administration, Gaza Strip issue, everything, what would you say? Is it more than three?
There is the main issue that no way, no one can distract us from going ahead to achieve our main goals.
What is that?
Freedom, our independent state, justice, to love in peace, to live in peace, to have our rights like all the people in the world. But also, we have at the moment the Israeli and the American measures, which came in the same direction to make our life more miserable, more difficult. When they cut from our own money the revenue taxes that the Israelis they are collecting, and taking from that percentage that reach millions, because they are handling such a thing. And this month the people will not take their salaries. It's not just the salaries, it's also all the economic institutions, the private sector, to handle the basic needs, hospitals, electricity, water. Our water, we are paying the water that we have from our land, we are imposing on us to pay for them. They are not allowing us to have the support, fuel or gas or whatever, to have electricity from our brothers, the Arab country. They don't allow us to have freely from outside anything. They are controlling the borders, controlling everything, and still continuing their settlements, building new settlements, confiscating lands, killing people, field execution. Just 2 days before, they killed 2 youngs, 20 years old, going to their work early morning for a baking oven. In their way, there is accident, they shoot them. They shoot them. See how many girls, how many teenagers, how many students, that the life is so difficult. This is also a report giving just an example for what's going on. From 9 of February until 22 of February. This is not a report from us as Palestinians. It's a report from an Israeli organization, human rights organization, B'Tselem, speaking and giving information what's going on. It's just in 11 days or 12 days, 113 Palestinians at least arrested in the West Bank. We are speaking about the West Bank. We are not speaking about Jerusalem. We are not speaking about what's going on in Gaza Strip, which is really, if we speak about the reports that they mention, it's a crimes that launched by the Israelis. The last report that we have one day before from the United Nations Human Rights regarding what's going on in the Palestinian occupied territory. They said very clearly about their policies. It's really strange to see the international community silent about what's going on. To come back to Sri Lanka as an example, Sri Lanka is a safe, a peaceful country. They already finished the terrorism. Still there is some problems that the state can tackle, the people can tackle, they can solve their own problems. Instead of intervening here, trying to impose something on a peaceful state, go stop the bloodshed that the Israelis doing against the Palestinians in Palestine. To enter hospital to kill people inside the hospital. Imagine this, if this happened from us as the Palestinians, the teenagers, the toughs, all the Palestinians should condemn this. It will be a condition opposing this on Palestinians, not just the leaders. All the Palestinian people should condemn. But in their side, it's different. They will have more progress. They will become leaders in their community. See, in this election, the more extremists against the Palestinians, the more votes they will have. Their election will be in 9th of April. This, yes, inside Israel. The Israeli state going more and more extreme. Imagine the prime minister who will be judged as a fraud, as one who did not worth the trust. Benjamin Netanyahu make a unity with some right-wing parties that they are called very clearly, Kahana group, that they are calling very clearly, not just to discriminate the Palestinians, no, to make ethnic cleansing, to send them out of the country, not to allow them to be in that in their homeland.
Dr. Zuhair Mohammad Zaid, Ambassador of Palestine to Sri Lanka, thank you very much for joining our interview today. And thank you for those very insightful and daring statements and facts and things you showed us. And thank you for joining us. We wish you achieve your goals and have a pleasant rest of the stay in Sri Lanka. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
That's Diplomatic Phases today. My diplomatic phase today, that's Dr. Zuhair Mohammad Zaid, Ambassador of Palestine to Sri Lanka, joining us today on our program. We will join you next week at the same time with another program on Diplomatic Phases. Enjoy the rest of the programming on Channel I. Have a good night and good weekend.